Well, good morning, everyone. Hopefully it's fine. Doing well. It is Thursday, November the 11th. Happy Veterans Day to all of you. Okay, a couple things I'm going to talk about. One, I'm going to talk about alternative investments. Because believe it or not, if you are an investor, you will become an accredited investor before you know it. As long as you stay focused on it and do your due diligence in your investments, don't get distracted by the hype, etc., etc. And I dare say you will become accredited at some point in your investing career. Current definition of accreditation, and I'm going to say it in a nutshell. Remember, I'm not a CPA, I'm not an attorney, I'm not a financial advisor, none of that. Everything I say is in my own opinion, okay? And I'll just share things I've read, et cetera, okay? From what I understand about reading the definition of accredited investor, there's two main ways to become one. One is to have an annual income if you're single of at least $200,000 for 2 consecutive years with the expectations for it to continue. If you're married, it's $300,000 for 2 consecutive years with the expectations that it will continue. The more common way, I believe, is to have a net worth of $1 million. That's a net worth of $1 million, not counting your personal residence, okay? So if you have a 401k worth $1 million, you're an accredited investor, okay? It just does not count your personal residence. All right, so if you are an accredited investor and you want to take charge of your financial future, okay? You don't want to keep it in the hands of your 401k custodian, or maybe you have a large rental portfolio and you just want to diversify a bit or whatever it may be. Here are 2 alternative investments, and I may make 2 videos talking about each one individually, we'll see. But I have investments in both of these, okay? And I'm just going to talk to you about my knowledge of these investments, some of the returns I've gotten, et cetera, et cetera. Okay, the first one is an oil drilling investment. I invest through a company called King Operating Corporation. All right, they're based out of Texas. All right, they have, and don't hold me to anything here. I'm just rehashing what I've heard. Maybe I make a mistake or something. So do your own due diligence before you make any investment. Okay, but they currently have a fund that you can invest in. And I think that fund may be getting very, very, very full. They may not be accepting more investments into it. But if that's the case, according to the CEO, he said in a video yesterday that sometime next year they will open a second fund and then they will be taking investments, okay? But in this current fund, they bought something like, I think it's 6 locations of land, thousands of acres in each of these 6 locations. They're in something like 5 different states. They're in a couple parts of Texas, West Texas, East Texas, maybe down the Panhandle, Oklahoma, Colorado, I think Kansas, something like that. I could be wrong on something there. But what they're planning to do is, I won't get this correct, but they plan to develop it, drill it, divest it, something to that effect. Basically what they're doing is they will develop it, they will add new wells, get them producing, then they will market it to sell it and then sell it off, a portion of it, okay? Along the way you get monthly revenue. I have gotten 5 revenue checks so far over the past 5 months. October being my 5th one, okay? Those 5 checks, it's gone by memory. The very first monthly payout was 3.9%. And I remember getting it thinking, at least I'm getting something. They're not a scam. I'm getting my first revenue check in. The next month was 4.9%. So I was like, oh, bingo. We're going up. We're getting a little better. The next month was 6.8%, I believe it was. Something like that. And I was like, oh, now we're talking. We're getting better. We're getting better. Still not as good as what I want. Still not as good as my rental property. But it's happening just like they're saying. They've been saying as each month goes on, they will get better and better, a higher return. So the last 2 months were something like 7.65% for the 4th month and 7.96% for the 2nd month. So he's almost 8%, okay? So again, 8% isn't the greatest return in the world, but it's getting there, okay? It's getting there. During a webinar yesterday, the founder, CEO of the company, Jay, hang on just one second, I'll show you the book. Sorry about that. All right. J.R. Young, The Upside of Oil and Gas Investing. J.R. Young, it's published by Forbes Books. Okay, The Upside of Oil and Gas Investing. If you go to the King Operating website, I think there's a spot on there you can click on and maybe get a PDF version of the book. If you do make an investment and you call the company, they may send you an autographed copy of the book. I was one of their, not their earliest investors, but I was an early investor from about a year ago. I first invested, which means I went a period of time with no income coming in, okay? So being one of the early investors, maybe I got a few little perks that a later investor may not get. Not that a book is a great perk, but it's something, okay? So anyway, with this investment, they have bought, on some of the land, they have something like 255 active wells, oil and natural gas. They are going through and renovating these wells, cleaning them up, cleaning up the natural gas ones, cleaning up the oil pumping ones. And when they clean it up, they've told me it may be something like, and I'll get my numbers wrong, but it may be something like today they're an oil well is producing 5 barrels a day. And once they clean it up, do a little maintenance on it, it's producing 10 or 15 or maybe even 20 barrels a day, okay? Natural gas, the same thing. They measure that in like cubic feet, I think it is, and maybe it's producing, I don't know, I won't get the number right, but 5 cubic feet today, and they clean it up and whatnot, and they go to 10 or 15 or 20 or whatever, something similar, okay? So they're getting more oil and natural gas. And more stuff. They get water, and there's, if you study it, there's more liquefied natural gas, I think it is, and there's different types of oil they might get out. But anyway, I digress. I'm not an expert on this, or I'm not an expert on any topic. So anyway, it's something to consider, okay? Because what they're saying is by the end of 2022, during the course of 2022, they're starting now is they got these 255 wells that they've been around for a while. One of them has been around, I think, pumping since 1974. But they will keep cleaning them up and whatnot to get them better. And that they're starting to drill a total of 4 new wells in the Permian Basin in Texas. They got 2 being drilled in one location. They're getting a rig there. They haven't started drilling yet, but they're getting a rig there. And they're also waiting to get a rig in the second location where they're going to drill 2 more. It's all in the same, I think the same one location, like, but it's big. So I think it's 2 different spots in the same, but I could be wrong on that. But they say once they get those 4 wells drilled, they may get up to perhaps, right now they're averaging something like 200 barrels of oil a day. And when they get these 4 new wells drilled, for a period of time, because when they first drill, you see in the movies they spout up. There's like they don't literally spout up where they lose the oil, but more oil comes out in the beginning, and then it kind of stabilizes, drops a bit, and stabilizes. Okay, but they're hoping they can get up to 1,000 barrels a day. Something Mr. Young said yesterday in a video was if they get to 1,000 barrels of oil a day, and the price of oil is $90 a barrel. Okay, right now I looked at it a little bit ago, $82, $83, $84 a barrel, somewhere in there. But if it gets up to $90 a barrel, and this will be sometime next year, which expectations are oil may go to $100 a barrel. But if it gets to 90 and they get 1,000 barrels a day, the monthly revenue should be in the area annualized of 70%. You heard me, 70%. What that is you take your investment, multiply by 70%, that's for the whole year, divide by 12, and that would be the monthly return. So it's an annualized average return for the month. But 70%, that's pretty good. Okay, that's pretty good. And then they're saying when they sell a portion at the end, they're hoping for the end of 2022, they're hoping, is that all investors should get all of their money back, whatever dollar amount they invested in, and then get additional money, like a nice hefty payment. But then they will still have an investment going on because you still got these other locations. You still have wells that are pumping. Sure, if they sell some, you might lose the big wells that are giving you that 70% return, but you still got maybe, I'll make up numbers, instead of 255 wells, maybe you got 225 wells or 200 wells. So they're still pumping oil. They still got different locations. You know, like I said, there's 6 different locations. So they'll move to another location, I believe, and do the same thing. Add some new wells, get it going, numbers ramp up, boom, they sell it. Something to that effect, okay? So if this interests you, I encourage you to check out King Operating Corporation. Dig around on their website, do your own due diligence. If you talk to them, tell them Mazske sent you, all right? And if you can't get in on this current fund, Mr. Young did say sometime next year he plans to start an additional fund, okay? Alrighty, so you stay safe, have a great day. I will do a follow-up video, perhaps later today or tomorrow, on mineral rights investing. All right, Mazske is signing out.